Hello again, this is Munch Koopas. This will be my submission video for Shovel Knight any percent. Since this game was last at SGDQ 2015, a small amount has changed in the route and everything. We no longer buy the Phase Locket or the Anchor items, and we break a lot less checkpoints. So I'm going to need a lot of gold, so at the start it's very important that I break the top left corners of those blocks to get the gold that pops out of them, like this one. And you'll also see me try to dig up dirt piles as I go by. And from a dirt pile you can get a single gold, and then anywhere between 5 and 11. Right here, I believe I go for a fast jump strat, which saves a second over waiting for the platform in general. Pick up some more gold. So the first level, pretty self-explanatory. Just like last time, shovel canceling or jump canceling is still in the run, where you can cancel your ground attacks with a jump, thus allowing you to maintain forward momentum, or just attack again. And I try to always kill that right slime, because otherwise he does have a chance to come down and damage you, which wastes time. And in this room, especially, you'll see the strength of jump canceling. Like right here, I actually just mash one button mapped to jump and attack to get through there. Hold down forward, just bounce off the bubble. The slime movement, like that one right there, is completely random, so I just have to hope he goes to the right spot and doesn't waste a lot of my time. So as far as possible donation incentives go for this, we of course have Save or Leave the Knights Behind at the boss rush toward the end of the run. And then we could also have armor color, and file name, I suppose. Unfortunately, the reverse zip glitch that I showed off at SGDQ 2015 is no longer possible. There aren't really any other big show-offs that I could do other than maybe doing a few special Shovel Knight challenges in the new challenge mode. Could just show off some extra bosses. Come to the first boss, Black Knight. He hasn't changed. I'm still gonna kill him the same way, by using jump cancelled attacks. And as far as the items I will be purchasing, I will be purchasing the Chaos Orb instead of the Flare Wand. There's actually two routes right now that are pretty equal on time. Either way, you do need either the Flare Wand or the Chaos Orb to be your projectile of choice. They both offer distinct advantages and disadvantages. And then as for early level order, if you go the Orb route, it doesn't really matter which of these two levels between Lich Yard or Pridemore Keep you do first. Either way, both levels have strategies that will save time or get you more money with the Orb than if you didn't. I opt for the Orb in Pridemore Keep because the time saves there are slightly more consistent than they are here. And as I said earlier, we don't need to break as many checkpoints. In a normal Orb route, we actually only break 3. In this one, I believe I'll be breaking 4, just because I try to go for a bit more safe strats. Something else that I did on that big skeleton, and then slightly on that frog, is that what I did is I damaged them, and then entered their hitbox, because enemies in this game can't damage you when you damage them. For the frog, I actually ran into him, and then used my invincibility frames to knock him into the air, and then do a delayed pogo to skip waiting for the platform in his room. Sorry for explaining things so far behind, but the game moves quickly. And of course, these dark rooms are the other main mechanic of this level. But if you play as much as speedrunners do, they're of course clear as day. This is one room where the Orb would save time in this level, because on this second frog down here, you can actually kind of throw the Orb so that it bounces off the ceiling, which increases its speed a lot, which will also knock the frog out of your way so you can proceed through there slightly faster. And I will break this 500, that is a standard checkpoint break. and then throughout the other run we would break a 500 and a 750 in the Lost City a few levels from now. Instead of breaking the 750, because it's the checkpoint after the 500, instead I'll be breaking a 500 and a 350 in this level. So here's the 500, and I could break a different 500 in the game if I'd rather keep that one there, but I am not very likely to die in this room. And then normally I would be digging up that dirt pile down there before these platforms, but since I'm going to pick up the 350, that actually gives me 100 extra gold, which will somewhat offset me not having that dirt pile. And then Spectre Knight is an incredibly easy boss, so I'm not at all worried about dying to him. Start off the fight, push him back. His first teleport is always to the opposite corner. After that, it is completely random. So ideally I want him to go to the bottom left. He didn't, so that cost me about 5 seconds if I get the fight optimally. Which I did. So now, money in hand, we will return to the village to purchase the Chaos Orb and nothing else. It is slightly faster to obtain the Flare Wand than it is the Orb. However, the Orb offers, overall, it offers more time saves throughout the run as compared to the Flare Wand. But more on that later. And as you can see, there actually is another room to the right of this ladder. However, it is still technically faster after you climb back up the ladder to go to the left and exit the village the same way you came in, because that is a shorter distance than the room to the right of this ladder. So now we'll go on our way to Pridemore Keep. And the very first room, I need to make sure I keep up with a local cycle, otherwise the lava at the end of this room will hurt me. And this is a pre-recorded run that I'm doing commentary over. So I believe I actually take damage from this enemy right here, while trying to dig up that gold. But I meet the cycle just fine. New glitch, only usable in that spot, but if you swing your shovel on a screen transition during a startup of your jump, you can extend your jump height by a block and a half, roughly, which in that spot will save you time because it gets you up to the platform, thus skipping the tricky platforming to get around the lava or waiting for the lava. If you mess up that strat, then you just do a damage boost off of the lava as it falls. I'm gonna try to use my orb to pick up a little bit more gold than I would normally get. In this room I did try to throw these orbs under that chandelier, which I think is still possible. I just threw them at the wrong time. Alternatively, you could just throw them after you jump off of the last chandelier, and they'd still kill that beetle. Damage boost off of the fire. Standard stuff. And right here, what I did is another glitch that's been known about for a long time. But if you hit your relic button and then push jump immediately, if your item is a projectile, so the orb, the flare wand, or the anchors, you will actually duplicate that item, provided you can have two of them on the screen. Alternatively, this can just be used to quickly get out an item and jump on top of it, which I will use later on in the run to get on top of the mobile gear quickly. Right here I'll use an orb to damage the griffin, so that I can enter his hitbox and then immediately go into a pogo, or shovel drop as the developers like to refer to it as. King Knight fight is still the same. We still use the same outline made by Busta Wolf 2 years ago. There actually has been a newer, faster strat developed, which can either kill King Knight as he does his final ascent to the ceiling, or leaves him at 1 health after it. but it's very difficult to do. But I would probably learn it before a marathon run. And my PB in this particular category is 45.55, which has one death that cost me 40 seconds. I'm currently in 4th place, and this run actually, spoiler alert, was set to PB, and then I did lose about a minute on one of the final levels. But I still submitted this run because it is still a very good run, and it shows off a lot of the tricks in any percent first try, which is nice. And the next item we will be purchasing is the Dust Knuckles in the Lost City, which is the level we'll go to next. They cost 3,000 gold, which is why having so much gold so early is so important. After that, I will need close to 12,000 for the remaining items that I will buy. But we'll get to that later. To start off this level, we hope for good slime movement, so that we can just jump over this guy and do this. The sand blocks you just go through without bouncing. All the other blocks you bounce off of. And then we used to use the phase locket in any percent in this room to skip waiting for the beetle. However, thanks to my discovery in low percent that you could use this bird instead, we no longer buy the phase locket. It is actually still faster to use the phase locket here, but it is faster overall to not buy the phase locket, because it takes you time to amass the 2,500 gold or so, or maybe it's 2,000, because you would have to destroy every checkpoint in the first 2 levels in order to be able to afford that. Roughly. Another fun trick. Jump and hit that bird to enter his hitbox and move through him. And in this next stream, I'm going to do a fun trick with the orb, where I actually throw it through a wall, right here. It has a chance to kill some of the slimes early, but it just looks cool, which is the main reason I go for it. Oh, and so here we buy the Dust Knuckles. They cost 2 magic to use, and they will pull you toward an enemy or object that's in punching range. Which is actually about a block and a half, I think, maybe 2 blocks. And they do save frames on horizontal movement, which, as you'll see later when we get to Explodatorium, will actually allow me to meet a platform cycle that we didn't think was possible to meet. Which is another reason why we removed Phase Locket, is because we don't need it to hover over a gap anymore. And punching that slime ball right there sets me up perfectly to only bounce twice off of that lava. It is possible to do that with a jump, which is what we do in low percent, but it's very hard and practically pixel perfect. This 750 checkpoint right there is one that I would normally break in an RTA attempt. For a marathon setting, I would like to keep it, because then I've destroyed 2 checkpoints in a row, and this trick that I just did, where you punch the bird to cross that gap, it's just a little nerve-wracking to not have that checkpoint there. And I decided to break that checkpoint just because I thought I was behind on gold. And I'm not going to die to Mole Knight. So I jump and then delay my orb throws so that I get a couple extra hits out of them. It is possible to kill Mole Knight as he comes back toward the left from the right corner. But I still got a fairly good kill. Oh, and the way that you skip these cutscenes after each little dream sequence is you mash start. And that's also how you skip all the text. Now, since Reese actually blocked the spot on the map that I would normally go to, I decided to go on a different level order and just go straight to the Iron Whale. And you can already see some optimizations made with Dust Knuckles. And right there I actually find about 300 gold that we used to not collect. but that was routed in shortly after AGDQ 2015, I think. It may have actually been in that GDQ, I don't really remember. Oh, and I punched that checkpoint twice to save me frames on movement. And right here, I do hope for some magic drops from these tentacles. They can either drop a 5, which are the small magic jars, or if they drop a big one, that will give me 30, which would give me my maximum magic. Something else to note about the optimal any % route, we no longer buy any extra health, and we no longer buy any extra magic, aside from the purple armor called the Conjurer's Coat. Now, that will give us 50 magic at the expense of taking extra damage from every single thing that deals damage. In a marathon setting, I definitely could purchase extra health, because you are given one free one after World 1. So if that were desired, I could do that. I personally would just stick with the usual loadout of no extra health. So the fish takes 12 hits to kill. I tried to line it up with the Dust Knuckles, and I still get it. It wasn't as clean as I wanted, but a fast kill is a fast kill. Normally I would grab health underneath this checkpoint, but I don't need it. You hold up right so that that manta will boost you to the left. Don't blink. Missed the first anchor skip. Go for the second one, get it perfectly. I do need this gold in a normal playthrough, but I think I have more than enough. Again, more Dust Knuckle use just to save frames and activate this platform sooner. Then punch this checkpoint twice for faster movement. Treasure Knight is a breeze with the orbs, because you just have to jump and then throw out 2 of them and hope he gives you a good pattern like this. And then the orbs do, as you can see, a ton of work for you. Luckily, Reese, the math enemy, was nice, and he moved to a good spot. So now we begin the Explodatorium. Parts of this level are based on a global cycle, which starts the moment you open the level, which includes the opening text. And luckily, if you do everything perfectly, you'll meet a room later in the level in such a way that you get through it without having to wait. And so right here, this is the trick I was talking about, where we punch all these blocks, and it saves us just enough frames to meet this platform cycle to bounce off this rat and make that jump. It is only possible if you make all of those punches. These pots are the thing that are on the global cycle, and in this next long room right here, I'm going to walk off this one briefly. There actually is a small platform to stand on, but I meet these pots perfectly to where I barely have to wait. I also don't have to wait in this next room with the health. Then the mini-boss, of course, has 23 health. It is possible to get a one-cycle kill on him with either Flare or the orbs, and then 2 Dust Knuckle punches. I unfortunately messed it up, as it is one of the harder tricks to do with the orbs. It just takes a little bit of practice. It's a little easier with the Flare wands. And then this fire is also on a global cycle, but really what's important is just not dying, and then these fire pillars right here are what truly matters so that you can perform a good ladder skip, like that. There is a backup strat, a couple backup strats if you missed that skip. Right here what I tried to set up is a new trick where we actually bounce off of this knight just before the transition, which carries us up to give us enough height to perform that punch. Otherwise, you just lure the other knight over, jump at the right time to cause him to jump, and then kind of jump around him and bounce off of him as I did. Pick up that 50 by jumping at the right spot and pogoing. Met this on a good cycle, so I didn't have to do any tricky damage boosts or anything off of that pot land. I could get health, but I'm confident with only 3 full going into Plague Knight. I jump right there to hopefully get a good setup for the fight, so I want to be out on the 6th block from the wall. And all of these jumps I just try to time so I move with Plague, and I try to reflect as many of his potions as possible because those will deal damage to him. And I got pretty close to a perfect fight here. Then we get on to the second dream. This is the hardest one to die in just because of the types of enemies they give you. You have to kind of coax these knights into stabbing you, and then hope that you can use all these potions to your advantage. I actually took damage from the knights back there instead, and then I accidentally got 100 or 1,000 extra gold that I wasn't expecting. So that could be another backup strat if I don't want to break too many checkpoints. So now with 12,000 gold in hand, we will go buy a few upgrades. First off is this Conjurer's Coat, which as I mentioned earlier, will give us 50 extra magic, but make us take extra damage. And then we'll buy this Charge Slash, which you just hold your attack button, and when charged will deal 1 whole damage to an enemy. And Reese went to the exact spot I don't need him to go, but luckily a quick entrance to the armor outpost and reset of map will fix that. Because I'm so used to low percent, I actually won't use Charge Slash too much, but it's still worth getting. The next item we'll be buying is from this level. It's the Propeller Dagger, which will open up a whole new world of mobility for us. We're gonna punch these jellyfish, get to that ladder without having to break the blocks for the fan. Bounce off this beetle, punch the projectile, and then punch the mage. Go over here, walk off this platform and punch. Punching those blocks not only saves you frames, but also sets it up so that that knight will always do that jump attack. At least I've never seen him not do it after you do that. It is possible to jump right there and go off of that and just throw 2 orbs, and then the Jobble will die instantly. Right there I actually chose to take a lot of extra damage and then wait because I wanted to make sure I didn't die to spikes or something, because this was a very good run. I was on PB pace by a large margin. The boat takes 16 hits to kill, and if I didn't need the health he would drop, I could set it up so that I use him to skip a bit of this room right here and actually get on that platform under the ladder immediately. And just to the right here is the Propeller Dagger room. A lot of casual players miss this because you have to go up into that room and then fall back down so that the fans don't push you back up. And I have obviously a ton of gold, so I have no worries here. Optimally, you would enter this room with like 3750, so you'd have just barely enough. So there's 250 in this room before the dagger, but the point is optimally you wouldn't have so much extra gold. Do a fun little damage boost trick here. And now we're going to hopefully go for a quick Jawa room here. using Propeller Dagger in certain spots to make the Jawas do what we want. And perfect. Now I'm going to show off Charge slash Glitch because I have nothing else to do in this auto-scroller. But how you do this glitch is you push attack, and then immediately push and hold attack, and then immediately after you push it, you push jump. And for whatever reason, this causes your Charge slash to charge almost instantly. Normally it takes about a second for it to fully charge. Maybe a second and a half. It doesn't really have much practical application in the run yet, but we have found a few uses for it, mainly of course getting some damage on bosses faster. There is one use for it that actually helps movement in Tower 2, but we'll get to that later. And then in this next room I try to go for a wind tunnel setup to get through here in one cycle. I did develop a method too that always works, provided you have the execution. But I messed it up of course here. Not a huge time loss. Now thanks to this method and another method using the orb and charge slash, we actually no longer need anchors to get a quick kill on Propeller Knight. I like to do it this way because I find it easier. But you have to wait for his second set of lunges. You have to wait until a certain frame before you start attacking him to make him fly to the top left corner. Otherwise he will fly to the top right, which will waste a lot of time because I don't have anchors. There are backup strats in case I mess that up. So I only have one more item to buy, and luckily Propeller Knight, even if I had 0 gold, Propeller Knight would give me more than enough to purchase the item. It's the mobile gear for 3,000 gold. That one costs 6 magic to use. You can have one gear out at a time, and you have to wait for one to disappear before you can summon another one. The Propeller Dagger, since I didn't mention it, costs you 4 magic every single use, and it does save frames on a movement. So throughout these later levels, a lot of these dagger uses are carefully placed so that I try to maintain maximum magic or close to it, just so I can have some backup magic in case something goes wrong. Ideally, at the end of the level, just before the boss, I will have about 40 at least. I need 40 magic minimum to do a quick kill on Tinker Knight. And that's both faces. But having extra is good because then it allows me to use propeller daggers going into his room. So now we've purchased the gear. So now we'll use the gear to skip this auto-scroller. That has not changed. It is slightly faster at this part right here to propeller over to where this first knight is on that platform, and then use the gear. But I just decided to go for the safe option. Plus, I can still use these daggers in this room to try and get past this rat. But I have all the items I will ever buy. There's no more upgrades of any kind to be purchased. And luckily there's 45 magic just sitting in jars in this room, so they give you enough for the quick kill. And then each one of those missiles will most likely drop a 5. And it's a good idea to try to pick up at least 1 or 2 if you can, but it's not a huge deal. It only really matters if you're going for maximum frame save. we need to hit that switch at least 3 times so that the stairs will lower enough. Then same old, kill Tinker Knight with the gear. Using the item duplication glitch like you do with orbs is actually the fastest way to activate the gear, because then you'll jump the same frame you use it, and you'll land on it as soon as possible. You can also activate them with a shovel swing, or a projectile, and that includes enemy projectiles, which will actually help us deal damage on Enchantress. For this quick kill, you just have to make sure that you use Dust Knuckle at the appropriate height on the screen to not fall after your set of 4. Because after every set of 4, there is an animation that you can't get out of, which is that like front flip. And then you have to wait a moment after that to be able to start punching again. Luckily, I got a perfect quick kill. So onto the stranded ship, our full arsenal at this point. Again, my propeller dagger uses will be carefully placed so that I don't get too behind on magic. But there is a big magic jar, which will give me 30 coming up in these stone blocks. Now we're going to use this gear to jump up to this ladder and skip this room. That trick is actually only possible on PC, which is what I'm playing on here. It's only possible on PC if you have vertical sync on. For anyone wondering what controller I use, I prefer a PlayStation 4 controller. But this game is perfectly speedrunnable on keyboard or really any controller. And then if you did want some more customizable options, if you wanted to use a PlayStation or an Xbox controller, we do allow the use of stuff like Joy-to-Key to customize your layouts even further. Because you can't actually, you can customize the controls in the game itself, but you cannot customize the number keys which have all the relics mapped to them. At this spot, I really pay attention to the guys up top throwing the hammers. I actually watch the hammers instead of watching Shovel Knight, because I know exactly how I can move Shovel Knight just by watching him out of the corner of my eye. What I don't know is where the hammers will be. And then I only do this damage boost and the other one earlier in this level. And then I will pick up health before the boss. Using the Dust Knuckles here just helps maintain your height on ladders and whatnot. Also, they move you from ladder to ladder without you having to slowly swing and then move to the other ladder and climb it and swing again and repeat. I took a lot of damage there. But it was a really fast kill. That's the point. Now we get to the third dream, and I'm going to do a new trick, where I actually land on the gear to catch Shield Knight just slightly faster. But now we move on to the final trio of levels. The Tower of Fate. These levels are essentially the same as they were route-wise from last time any percent was shown, just maybe a little bit faster. They're designed to be a gauntlet of platforming. You'll see enemies and stuff from other levels. Fairly self-explanatory, I think. Not really a whole lot to talk about. What I should have done there was bounced off of that rat for that one. I was just slightly too low, so I took damage from that guy. But ideally, I would have not taken any damage there. Now, in my PB, I did lose about 30 seconds in the level after this one, so I was excited because this was a very good paced run for me. I could still very easily PB. Unfortunately, there will be a death coming up. And if any enemy were to touch me, I would die. There is a 30 in the dirt block above the one I broke, which is what I was trying to go for. And in this room, what we normally do is grab this magic, pick up this health if you need it, jump from the middle of the food platter, and then do 4 daggers. However, I waited just a split second too long to do the 4th dagger, so I just didn't have enough height to make it to the wall. Or the next platform, rather. So I have to repeat this room. The only bonus to this is that I do get all of my magic back, so it's not too terribly slow to get through these rooms, unlike last time where I just had to walk through most of it. And there's a few different ways to get through that room. That's just the one that, in my opinion, is usually the safest, because the hardest part is getting around the Jawa. Timing your daggers is simple. Black Knight, we kill the same way we did Black Knight 1. This one's just harder because you have less time in between hits to continue hitting him. Unfortunately, he can break out sometimes like he did there, but not a huge issue. I want to be as close to this door as possible after the boss fight, because the cutscene will automatically walk you over to the door at this point. So if I were on the other side of the screen, that would obviously waste a lot of time. So we proceed on to Tower of Fate 2. I believe this is Tower of Fate Ascent, is the official name. That actually does save time, what I did with that slime. Ideally, I wouldn't have bounced on him again. Oh, here's new tech. So it was discovered you can actually use Charge Slash to stand in front of this statue and move it. And then utilizing Charge Slash Glitch, you can make it move really quickly. As for that slime back there, I actually extended and delayed my pogo so that it would break both the block and hit the slime at the same time. Saves a little bit of time. Now, me being at only half a health, I'm a little bit scared here. But it's very easy to avoid all the enemies and the things that deal damage in this auto-scroller. So after those initial slimes, I'm not too incredibly worried. Right here I thought I was at a part that's up ahead with rats, so I'm just gonna wait for this archer to fall, and then kill him with a charge slash. They take 2 shovel hits to kill, but a charge slash does that same damage. The charge slash actually does reach slightly farther than a regular shovel attack, and can also reach behind Shovel Knight, which is why that trick on that statue earlier works. So now I'm finally safe at the top of the auto-scroller. I can go pick up the left, or the food hidden in the left wall there. I could get food here, but these food platters have a chance to not actually be food. And so boss rush starts. Same rules as always. Polar Knight is always in the first 3. Order other than that is random. At least it seems to be. There are of course a few orders that I don't want. Ideally I would prefer to get Polar Knight, or Propeller, or Plague after anyone other than maybe Tinker or Mole. But luckily we get Plague out of the way really quickly. The reason I want Plague out of the way soon is because he is the deadliest in Boss Rush. And it can take a lot of magic to kill him safely. So I tried to play this very cautiously because he can just absolutely destroy you if you're not careful. I also try to make sure I have enough magic in case Tinker Knight were to come after him. And then I use this dagger to try and get to the middle of the screen so that I can have a good setup on the next boss, no matter who it is. There is another way to kill Spectre Knight where you just use charge slashes on regular hits in between everything else. I prefer to just kind of do what I do in low percent and just use regular attacks to hit him into the wall. It can honestly be just as fast and reliable. For my purposes anyhow. So again, I need 40 magic minimum to do the perfect Propeller Knight, or Tinker Knight kill rather. I had 41, so I had just enough. I actually started this fight the wrong way, but I will still make the second phase just as easy. Punch. Again, use a Propeller to try to get back to the middle. Propeller Knight used to be a very scary boss until this was discovered. Now he's super easy. Here it's just hope for a decent Treasure Knight pattern, which I got. It was a very fast kill. Then it's just wait for King Knight and try to conserve some magic. No matter what the last boss is, you kind of want to conserve some magic so that you can use some Propeller daggers out of this level. Luckily I have enough for 7 daggers, so that's more than enough to get out of here quickly. And this would normally be the point where if we did have the donation incentive going, it would be save or leave the knights. All I do is I dig them up with a shovel attack. So very solid performance this far, aside from the death in Tower 1. So if I had not died previously, the pressure would have definitely been on at this point, because I could have had a substantial PB. But this was still a good runtime, in my opinion. Right there, if you do that correctly, you of course don't get stuck in the wall after you punch, but you actually punch through that last set of blocks and initiate the screen transition early. Right here we just jump here, dagger a few times, and then use this gear and ride it. I do need some magic to perform the quick kill on Enchantress, Otherwise I could have just spammed dagger for a while here, which would be faster than gear. So now we see gear will actually do damage to Enchantress in any enemy. It does 1 whole damage. I messed up a part of the quick kill here, but still got lucky on her dive pattern there, so I was able to kill her with a Charge Slash. Throw out the gear to get just slightly higher during this jump. Then whether or not Shield Knight goes left or right is random. But you can tell which one she's going to do her jump and hover in the air that you can pogo off of, because it's the same one that she jumps on the first time. So she went right, so here she is going right on the last jump. I need to deal at least 8 damage to Enchantress for her to initiate this attack pattern where she slams the ground. So nice 46-11, maybe a high 46-10, because it was a late split. Fairly solid time. That would have beaten my old PB of 46-31, but my new PB is 46-55, which puts me at 4th place. But I think this would definitely make for a good bid war between this and Plague Any% if you'd like to have these categories back. Thanks for watching.